Okie doke. So I do have a couple of other dimensioning PowerPoints that are on here, but in general, they cover the same things. So I'm not going to really waste time going over that. What I want to do is do the two tutorials, and the first dimension, explain how they work, fix your template, maybe do 4- or 8-1 so that you understand how to make this work. So let's see what we can get done. So there are some, like, I have principles of dimensioning, document 57, do's and don'ts of dimensioning here. Like I said, I do have another, well, I guess you have to click on it and download that one too. Well, anyway, on my other class, it would open up. But anyway, I have a couple other ones. They're okay. They're just from a couple other different books. I just have them on here as extra reference. But in general, we can kind of do things going off of from AutoCAD. So I'm going to go over here to AutoCAD, and first of all, let's talk about some settings. So it's good and bad about this book. I mean, unfortunately, they use a lot of ISO metric stuff instead of, that's not what we use. That's okay. That's why I don't use the files from the book, because I don't know that I don't know what settings they have and so on. But I do know that if I were to go here to open and click on this little down arrow, and I click on open files, and I want to open up my template file. And you're saying, well, why do I want to open up my template file? Well, I probably gave you some comments and feedback on your template. Well, let's explore how you fix that, because there's a couple of things that you might need to fix, especially under the dimension settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from the file of type from a drawing file to a template file, and it should go to my template folder here. And I'm going to pull up this one because this looks like the one that I made this semester, and I'm going to hit open. Now, the difference between opening this file and using this file when we go to new is that when I go to open it, I'm actually going to edit my template. Now, you could have started a whole new drawing using your template also, and then you just do a save as and then save it as a template file, just like we did before. Well, I'm just going to open this time. Now, the bad downside about me showing you this way is that when you go to open another file later on, it's going to be looking for template files. So you've got to change that file type again. So don't forget that. Guarantee you will. So hopefully this doesn't cause too much confusion in the way I'm showing you how to edit your template. So I went to open, I changed the file type to template, and it went to the template folder. Now you remember you have a copy of this in your OneDrive. Therefore, when we get done fixing whatever we're going to fix, you need to save it there also. Okay? So let's go over the settings that you need to have. So obviously, you guys, you should have your inch layout like this. And if like you have your, so you guys, some of y'all's viewports are sticking out here in the drawing area. All you have to do is click on it, and here, I can show you what I'm talking about. So if I were to pull that over, and then if I were to grab my viewport, see, there's my viewport. So some of you guys, yours looks like this, okay? And let me just fix this real quick. No, it doesn't want to do that. Okay, fine. Well, then we'll just drag you over there where you're supposed to be. Boom. All right, so some of you guys have yours and it looks like this. Well, you need to pick on it, and then you need to grab this grip and you need to drag it down here. Okay? That's one thing to fix. So that's pretty easy, pretty quick. Some of you guys don't have this field set up correctly. Or you've got your name not in all caps. And it needs to be in all caps. Okay? All of our text, unless it's a metric tolerance, is uppercase lettering. So how do you edit this stuff? Well, it's real simple. If you want to edit your name, you just double click on it. And then you can, and the real nice thing here is if it was in all lowercase and you wanted it all uppercase or whatever, you can highlight it. And if you come up here somewhere, there is underline over let's see, the change case right here. So it's right next to where it says under formatting, next to this layer thing here, it says change case. Well, if I wanted them all lowercase, then I can make them all lowercase. But if you don't have them uppercase, so I'll just do that. All right. Well, okay, that's not what I wanted. So if I wanted it to be all uppercase, I would highlight it. You have to highlight it first. So you have to hold your mouse down, highlight the whole thing, go up here to change case and do uppercase, and then close text editor. Now, the other thing that a lot of you guys have incorrect is this file name field. What do I want it to be? Well, for one, I want it to be all uppercase no matter what I type in for my file name. And you need to use the file name of the assignment so that you can find it, for one, and it populates here easily. So how do I edit this? Well, I double click on it. Okay, well, that's not really everything I need to do. You then have to double click on the field. Now, when you do that, it's going to pop up with this dialog box. And you can make sure that you have everything checked. So sure, you have file name. Sure, maybe you have uppercase, but maybe you don't have some of this stuff unchecked. Like some of you have display the file extension. I don't want that. Some of you have the path and file name. I don't want that either. I just want the file name. And I want it uppercase. So make sure this is selected to uppercase, and this says file name only. Those are real easy fixes. Mr. Anderson will give you a 0 on the drawings if you don't fix this stuff when you turn your Chapter 8 stuff in. I would like to not be like that and, you know, have to say, look, you aren't listening. I'm too nice. Yes, I am. But I just would like you to fix it, okay? And especially if you're going to be in further CAD classes, because you can use this and as a starting point for your next template, because you're going to have this template for a long time. The rest of you, you know, it's up to you. Do you want a better grade or not? Or do I get madder as I go along and just start docking points because you didn't fix it? You didn't fix it. You didn't fix it. You didn't fix it. Do I sound a little bit irritated? Could be. But if you had to grade 150,000 drawings and then people just don't do what you ask, it gets a little annoying. So think of it from my perspective. And if you don't care, that's on you. Okay, moving along. Okay, so file name, uppercase, file name only. Hit OK. All right, now, some people did not. They did this before. They went through and they watched my videos, and some of the settings I need to, like I said, when I went through it in class, I changed because of the way AutoCAD is a little goofed up right now. And so these are the settings for dimension style. And this is what you need to make sure that you've got fixed. So under the annotate box here, there's two things that we made adjustments to. We made adjustments to the dimension style manager here and also the multi-leader style manager. Now this one was pretty simple. On the multi-leader, if you click on the little down arrow there, it gives you this guy here. You had annotative. All you had to do was make some adjustments to it, you know, like the size of the text, and the landing was a little big. So if you click on that and click on modify, let's look at our settings. Let's just review. So I changed the arrowheads to 0.125, the break size 0.125. I don't remember if I had to change that or not. The leader structure, I changed the landing from it was like 0.38, I think. And so I changed it to 0.25. And then I thought it was too big, so that's what I did. And then scale is annotated, which was already on. Content, text height, 0.125. That was something we had to change. Text style should be standard. Now remember that your standard text style is set to 0. Why is that? So that the dimension style and the multi-leader style manager parts of AutoCAD can make it the size it needs to make. The text style manager, which is what this little piece is here, when you click on that little button there, it pulls that up. Well, if you set it to 0 here, then that lets the other things manipulate the size, which is what you want. So I'm just going to hit cancel here because I just wanted to show you that standard should have a 0 height. Okay, so this one's pretty straightforward. No big changes other than the size of the text, the landing, and then the arrowhead size. I believe this was already 0.125, so there you go. All right. Now the metric one, you had to make a new one, so you made a copy of, you went new and you made a copy of the annotated, made it metric, and we went over some of the sizing changes. So like under the leader format, the arrowheads went to 3, the break size went to 3. Leader structure, we set the landing distance, which is, that's that flat piece right there. We set that to 6. And annotative is what it would be here for scale. And then on content, we made the text height 3. And the landing gap, I made that 2.2 because that is just what it converted over to. So, and that seemed to work okay. Basically what that does is that keeps your text off of the little shoulder that you create just a little bit so it doesn't look like it's on top of it. So anyway, that's all you needed to do for this guy. And so that's pretty simple. As long as you made your adjustments here, some people forgot to do this part. Well, just fix it. Now, this is the most important one here. Oh, this one's important too, because if you don't have this set, then when you use it with the dimensions, then it looks weird. So under this little arrow right here, click on that. You have your Dimension Style Manager. Now you'll notice a difference between my video that I had on the class and what we did in lecture. I changed it because I need to, so I need to update my online video and get rid of the other one because I've got edited with it. So you have two styles. You started out with two styles. You had annotated and you had standard. So what I said was, okay, since AutoCAD doesn't like it when we make a new one and won't keep some of my settings, we're going to just take standard, and since it'll let us, we'll just rename it. So what I did is I took the standard dimension style and I remade it into this annotated metric. And how did I do that? Well, first of all, you can rename this by right-clicking on it and going to rename. And that's what I did. I renamed it from standard to annotative metric. Then I went under modify. And if we start over here with lines, let's talk about your things. Now, most of you have these settings correct, okay? I'll give you a little bit of a good job. Most of you did that, yes. Because most of these settings were the same on my video. I think the only thing I changed was, like, I think on my other video, this was 1. And I did the math, and we said it was 1.5. This is going to be 3, extend beyond dimension lines. Baseline spacing was 9, that's the same. Arrowhead size is 3. You're supposed to click on none here so you don't have any center marky things showing up, except for the ones that we put in with the other tools. Not the dimensioning tools, but center line, center mark tools. Okay. Break size was 3. This was the same. This was the same. Then you went over to text, and text height was 3. You're using standard, which we've already decided and determined is set to 0 for the height. But that lets us set this to 3 here, and it'll work as 3. Or on the inch one, it lets it be 0.125, whatever it needs to be. All right, let's see. Offset from dimension line, I figured out that needed to be converted to 2.28, which if you had 2, that would be fine as well. And then we went over to fit. Now what we had to do was, on the standard, you had to click on this annotated box to make it annotated. What does that mean? That means it will scale. When you change your viewport scale, it will change depending on the settings you have. It'll automatically adjust. Now there are some other things we have to do that I'll explain, but we'll get through this. So annotative is checked, and then the last one here. This is the reason I have you do this. If you do not, it won't keep the settings. If you make a new one, it doesn't keep the settings. Now, I explained in our earlier lecture about the zeros, right? I don't want to suppress zeros on the back end, the trailing ones, on inch, and I do want to suppress them on the metric. I want to suppress the trailing ones because remember, it's 0.5 millimeters or 10 millimeters. It's not 10.0 millimeters. Okay, so if it's an even millimeter, I don't want those zeros. So I suppress the trailing zeros here. but I do not suppress the leading zeros. For inch and metric, they're flipped, okay? If you can get that in your brain, you'll be in good shape. So zero suppression, leading zeros unchecked, trailing zeros checked for annotative metric. And then precision is 1 decimal place. That's all metric uses. If it went to 2 places, then it must be a NASA part. That's the only thing I need to change. So I'm going to go to OK. And then under this annotative, yours was just annotative to start with. And so what I did is I picked it, I right-clicked on it, I hit rename, and I added inch to the end of it. And then I went on modify, and there were a few things that we needed to fix. So one of the things that we needed to fix was extend beyond dimension lines. That's in my video, change that to 0.125. Then you went to symbols and arrows, and you made sure that this was set to none and that your arrow size was 0.125. Okay. Then you went over to text, 0.125, set on standard. Nothing else needed to be adjusted for now. Fit, it was already set to annotative, so that was checked already. And then we went to primary units. Now in my other video, I think I set the precision to 3 places. I'm honestly not sure why I decided on that, because there's a difference between dimension precision and units precision. We talked about, well, in this class at least, earlier, before lunch, we talked about how you round things. You know, how many like you have 2 places and you have 3. You're given 3 places, but you need to round it to 2 places. And 0.125 turns out to be 0.12 instead of 0.13 for some reason. And then 0.375 turns into 0.38. Well, in units, I laid my precision like in 3 or 4 places. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, I'll show you in a minute. But on here in dimensions, you have to look at what were you given to start with. So like if you looked at, let's say, 4-1, or in our case, 8-1, and you look at how many decimal places there are on it. There are 2. Well, 2 is most common for how many decimal places we use, because that is a really good tolerance. Okay, we talked about tolerance in the previous episode. And so what I decided is, you know what, we're going to go with 2 places here for our inch. Metric had 1, inch has 2. Now what happens if you had a drawing that needed 3 places for most of the dimensions? You go in here, you change your precision to 3 places, and you run with it. Now later on, I'm going to show you how you can adjust dimensions that are different, although we don't have any in this class, but I do in another class. So anyway, the big thing here is that the front end zeros are suppressed on the inches. So like we said earlier in the previous conversation, if it's 0.5 of an inch, it's not 0.5 of an inch, it's 0.5 of an inch, or 0.50. That's how we write inch dimensions. Metric dimensions, if it's less than a millimeter, they put the 0 in there. They put 0.5 millimeters. So on this inch one here that we're on, leading zeros are suppressed, but trailing zeros are not. Very important to do that. Why did I modify standard for the metric one? Is so that this will stay. This is how I set it originally, and it stayed for me because this was already there. If I made a new one, like in one of my videos, I made an annotative, I made an inch, I made a metric, I made an annotated metric. But you know what? You don't need all that. I figured that out. I just haven't gone back and fixed my videos yet. You only need two. And annotated covers everything because it will automatically scale for you. And that's what we want. So that's what you have to do to fix this. You've got two dimension styles. Take the standard one, rename it, just right click on it, rename it, call it annotated metric, and then make your adjustments to those settings that we have on here. And most of you guys here in class, if you watch the video or were paying attention or whatever, good job, you fixed it. Now, occasionally there was the forgot to pull your viewport down, and I just showed you how to fix that. So fix those things. I didn't dock you a bunch of points on chapter 4 because you hadn't had a chance to fix it yet, right? So I didn't do that. But I would like you to fix it for chapter 8 before you do chapter 8. Now, obviously, I'm going to have people who are online or maybe in class that are already zippied on through. Well, you're going to have to go back and fix some things. That's not my fault, and that's not your fault. It's just that it's how it works. So anyway, two styles, that's all you need. Okay, so once you have made these changes, other things, let's talk about something else, like maybe layers. What if you forgot to, so like you went in and you made a new layer and it copied the line type from the previous layer that you made. Let's say you had the phantom or the center line layer, and the next one you made was going to be phantom. Well, you forgot to change the line type. How do you fix that? Well, you just go over to your layer. So it says line type right here. Let's say it was the phantom line type, and I click on that and it pulls up the ones that I have loaded. Well, let's say I had it on center 2, but I wanted it on phantom. You just pick the one that you want it to be and hit OK. And it'll fix it into the one you want. So if I told you, hey, you have the wrong line type on there, or let's say your dimension layer, it's set to center line for some reason, probably because that was the next one you made after center line. And that's okay. Just go fix it. And then you can turn it back in and I'll give you a better grade, and that'll help you out on chapter 8. Okay, so I think that covers pretty much the fixes. Now, if you, for some reason, couldn't figure out how to do this metric one, you have to right-click on it, and you have to go to Page Setup Manager, and this should be in millimeters right here. It also should say General Documentation PDF, because that'll make life a lot easier for you. So when you click on Modify, I had some people that didn't change this to metric. Okay, well, if you put in some scale, it may not work. But if you change the units to millimeters and then change that scale to 1:1, it makes your paper bigger. I did have that on some of the online people. I don't think anybody in here did that. So that would be my online people. Just threw them right under the bus with both actions. Most people didn't do it, but there were a few. So it happens every time. Somebody doesn't pay attention. Or, oh, I can just use the 1 to whatever. No, don't do that. Make it work. Make it right. Use the right one. That way we know for sure that it scaled it up. So how do I know that you goofed up if you goofed that up? Well, it's real simple. When I activate my viewport, And I see that you scaled it to 1 to 20 or 1 to 30 because that's the only way you can get it to scale in. That tells me that you have it the wrong size. Because 1 to 1 should work if it's metric and it's 1 to 1. Now, one of the other things people get confused on, and it's okay, you don't need to scale both of them, okay? It's okay. Whatever units you're using, that's the only layout that you want to use. The reason that I have you make a metric and an inch is so that you have one file that you can do either one on. And then you pick which of these layouts that you need to use. So if it's an inch drawing, then when you get done drawing it in model space over here, you go to the inch one and then you scale it in, activate, then you scale it in, Z enter, E enter, and that'll zoom it in, and then you pick a scale. Notice down here this says 0.841142. Well, even though this says 1 to 1, it hasn't been updated. But if I put this on 1 to 1, then that'll be okay. Anyway, I'm going to deactivate model. I'm going to hide this guy. So you should have an inch, you should have a metric. The metric should have been made bigger like it's supposed to be. Like I said, most everybody got this right. There's just a few people that missed that or something. Anyway, so when you've got all this stuff fixed and you want to make this your new template, how do we make sure you're using the new template? Well, one way I can do that, for one, I'm going to I can hit save right up here, and I know that I have just updated my template file that's on this computer. Now I still have one floating out there in OneDrive, so I should probably update that one. So how would I update it? Well, I would go to Save As, and instead of saving it here, because I just hit save, so I know it's saved under the templates. So then I would go over to my OneDrive, and then I would click on Save, and then hit OK. And hopefully, if yours is in the same place, which apparently mine isn't, it would say, oh, hey, do you want to overwrite this file? And you'd say, yes, yes, I do. Now, another way that would help you out is, what if you put today's date on it? Imagine that. That would tell you, oh, hey, that's the updated one. I fixed that one today. Okay? That's why I use the date on mine. Now, I told you didn't have to put a date on any of your stuff because you're not doing it multiple times. Well, what if the template you wanted to say, oh, hey, this is my updated template, or you put updated, just so you know that you're picking the right one, right? The main thing is, whatever computer you're using AutoCAD on, your template hopefully will be saved there, whenever you open this up. All right? So once you've made all your changes, do not draw anything on here. Close it out so you don't resist the urge. You can resist the urge to do anything with it. I'm just going to close it. I'm just going to hit the little X, and now I'm back to the start. So then, now, when I do new, I didn't change the date on mine, but if you change the date on yours, make sure you're using the right one. So you might go to new and click on the little down thing and go to browse templates and make sure it's the one that you want. And then, you click on that and then you click open. Now notice that this is the normal way we do it, where we went to new, We picked our template. We're not opening the template. It's opening a copy of it. And up at the top, it says drawing 1 or drawing 2 or drawing 57, whatever. And now I'm ready to go. So what happens if your chapter 4 stuff is on the not so good template? How do we get it on this one? Okay, well, it's very simple. All you have to do is go back to start, go to open, and instead of a template file, I don't need a template file, so I'm going to change this back to drawings, right? And I'm going to click on my OneDrive, and I'm going to see if there's any down here. Okay, so I've got, let's see, 21825. I don't think that's going to work. How about, let's see, 4-1. Well, it looks like I must have saved them somewhere else. But you know what? We'll pull it up off of here because I have the wrong settings anyway. So we'll just click on this one, 4-1. All right, we'll open it up. There's 4-1. So let's just see. Do I have what do I have on this one that's wrong? I wonder. Let's see. I'll go check real quick. Oh, look. It's got standard, but I made a new metric annotative. So what's going to happen? Let's just check it and see. Oh, well, look. Well, that's not cool. There's nothing checked. It didn't save anything. Well, that's not great. But there is hope, because here's how you fix it. You don't go in and make all the changes on this. What you do is you go to model space. Okay? Put a window around your geometry. That means the lines, the circles, the center line, whatever. All that stuff. We use our magic Control-C, right? So we're going to copy it to the clipboard. So we can do Control-C, you can go up and I don't know, it's up here somewhere. But the easiest thing to do is go Control-C. So copy clip 18 found. So it copied everything to the clipboard. So then you come back over to this drawing 1, right? And what did I do wrong? I saved it where I was at the goofy, folder and title block. I didn't save it here. So that's one way I can know it's different. So try to remember to save it where your model space. There's my oops for the day. All right, so anyway, I'm on the new template. Okay. How do I get my stuff here? Well, what do we normally do when we copy something? We paste it, right? Well, that's what you do. Control-V is in Victor, and look at that. There it is. Now it says, where do you want it to go? You know what the easiest thing to do is? Well, the easiest thing to do is actually just pick a spot. But if you wanted to, you could type in 0, 0, and it'll stick it at the origin. It's up to you. You can pick a spot if you want, like, pick a spot. There it is. Or you could Control-V, you could type in 0, 0, and it'll stick it on the origin. It doesn't matter to me. It's whatever you want to do. Sometimes the origin gets on my nerves because you've got this X and Y thing here, and you can right click on it and actually turn it off. You can go to UCS icon and turn it off, but I've kind of don't worry about that anymore. But so I usually just pick a spot and there it is. So now what do? Well, I can go over here to my inch layout, right? Double click on it, move it around. Scale is 1:1. Now, while I'm here, let's look at a couple of things. Down here next to where it says scale, you've got some buttons, like you've got a lock button, right? What does that do? Well, that means that it locks my viewport so that I can't mess up my scale. Then you also have these, what we call the magic triangles. This one says show annotation objects at current scale. And this one says add scales to annotative objects when the annotation scale changes. And you're like, what in the heck does that mean? Well, basically, when you change the scale here, it should add those scales, I'll show you what I mean, to your objects. In other words, your dimensions, your text, anything that's set up annotative. And so you want the magic triangles on. Well, what good are the magic triangles if they're not on over here? Oh, they are. Look, there they are. Woohoo, they're on. Show annotation objects. Yes. If you don't have the magic triangle on there, that one, you'll put a dimension on there. You might put the dimensions on here, but that wasn't on the layout. Guess what happens? Your dimensions don't show up. Mr. Doty, my dimensions won't show up on the thing. What's wrong? Did you turn on all your magic triangles? What? Yeah. So that can happen. If you don't have the other one on that adds the scales, then it won't change sizes when it's supposed to. Most of the time. So turn on your magic triangles. People are like, what the heck are magic triangles? They're these little things right here, down here in the bottom. Now, what the heck does this scale mean? It's got the little triangle thing. Well, that right there, folks, is the annotation scale. This is how you can change sizes. Now, to keep things simple, let me tell you an easy rule to remember. Go to your viewport on your layout, get it scaled to the size you want first. Then come back and put your dimensions on. Don't put the dimensions on and then go scale it or change the scale. It's going to make a mess. Now I'll show you how to fix it, but it'll make a mess. So, I'm on my new template that I fixed, so I can do dimensions, right? And the first thing I want to do is make sure that I have this scaled correctly. So I have it scaled. I have both of my triangles magically on, and I'm good to go. I think I'm good to go. So I'm going to deactivate, go back to model space. Okay. You can change your layer to dimension here if you want to. But the neat thing is when you go over to annotate, this tab up here, you can tell it what layer that you want the dimensions to be on. Ta-da! Now something else that's important that let's double check back on the home thing here. Some of you guys, you mess with properties over here. Don't. Leave them alone. You'll just end up with a mess. Oops. It should say by layer for the color, right? This is color. The line weight should say by layer, and the line type should say by layer. Now, when you get into dimensioning, it'll say by block or something, which is okay too. But in general, everything should say by layer when you're drawing. If you want to change line types, you change layers. If you want a phantom line, you go to the phantom layer, you go and draw yourself a line. Right? If you want a hidden line, you go to the hidden layer. You draw yourself a line. if you drew the phantom line on the wrong layer, you pick that line when you're not in anything. Just pick it. You've got grips, right? Then you go and you say it needs to be hidden. You put it on there. Or, oh, wait a minute. No, it needed to be a center line. We'll make it a center line. And then you hit escape. Did that change what layer I'm working on? No. It changed what layer that object is on. I know it's confusing. We'll do what we can. All right. So I don't need these. I'm going to delete them. Okay, so let's talk about dimensioning. Now, even though I'm on the hidden line layer, if I go to annotate, all my dimensions should come up on the dim layer. Now, what's the first thing I should make sure that I have set right? Well, what units is this in? Oh, it's an inch drawing. Yeah. What dimension style is current? Not the inch one. So what would happen if I did that? Well, then what would happen is if I went to linear and hey, what's this? It says select your annotation scale. Well, what was the viewport set to? I don't remember. Well, maybe you should remember that. In our case, this was set to 1:1. Most of them are 1:1. There are 2 or 3 that we changed to 1:2. And then we had that one that was 1:4. And now you don't have to dimension that last one that we did, you know, that big huge block with the angle on it and the 2 holes drilled in it. And I kept telling people that, you know, you can't overlap that center line and all that fun stuff. I don't make you dimension that one. You know why? Because on this size paper, it's a pain. So getting back to here, 1:1 is what I want. So I hit OK. All right, so I got the wrong style. I'll just tell you now. So what happens is when I pick here and here, oh my, that is not a good plan. What happens if I give it a spot to sit at? Okay, well, if I pick it, you could always go up here and change it, right? You could say, oh, it needs to be, why do I have 4? Am I on the wrong one? That's weird. Well, anyway, I could fix it, but the main thing is I need to put this on the right one. So I only have 2. I guess it's telling me what this is giving me. I don't know what it's giving me. It's weird. Anyway, so I have annotative inch. Why do I have 4? Okay, so now I'm curious. Did I use the wrong one? Oh my gosh, what the heck? Wow. Something ain't right here. On the wrong drawing? This didn't work. Well, now I'm curious. Oh, my settings are right. Well, that's cool. Okay, well, I don't know what happened, but that was weird. Okay, I'm confused now. So let me go figure out what happened. Let me go back and let me see what's up here, because that's just weird. Okay, template, that one, open. Let me make sure that I only have 2. Okay, cool. All right. So let me do a save as, and this time I'm going to change the date on this sucker. So we're going to change this one to, what is today's date? It's the 10th, and ding ding 2/25. All right, save it there. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So I made sure it's there, so now I'm going to close it out. All right, we're going to try this again. Oh, wait a minute. Was I on the wrong one? No, I was on the right one. All right, you know what? We're not going to save this. Forget that. No. All right, so I've got this one. This one's the old one.
we're going to go to Start. I'm going to go to New, and we're going to go back to Browse Templates, and we're going to pick this one right here. Okay, open. Okay, yep, still in the wrong spot. Okay, now let's see what we have. Okay, cool. We've only got 2. So what happens when I go over here and I grab these 2? Oops. Grab this again. Control C. Go back over to this guy and do Control V. All right, let's see what happened. Okie dokie. So apparently, when you copy it from one to the other, it brings the others over. Except, my annotated metric one there is correct. That's good. Well, of course, it doesn't matter because I'm on inch. So. Okay, so if you have extra ones, if you were goofed up on it, and anyway, yeah, go figure. So anyway, that's weird, but now you know. All right, well, it's all good. I learned something new today. So I want annotated inch because that's the one that I made for sure. And I want these to be on the dim layer, so we do that. So let's start all over again. So like I said, when you want to go in, you hit linear, and then you pick a starting point, and for some reason it didn't ask for the annotative scale. Interesting. Okay, why didn't it do that? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, so it's kind of weird, but anyway. So magic triangles, make sure they're on 1 to 1. So whatever this is, the viewport scale, when you go over to model space, make sure that the annotation scale is set the same, okay? As long as they're the same, you'll be okay. Everything will show up the way it's supposed to. So this is 8-1, 4-1, right? Or 4-1, 8-1. So I pasted it over here onto my fixed template. I can go to Save, and then it needs to be under OneDrive. So remember, if it comes up under Templates here, make sure you save it under your OneDrive or Documents so that it doesn't mess up. Oh, I know why it wasn't there. It's just maybe under that Documents. All right, so then I'll do P8-1, and then we'll put our date on there and hit save. Okay, so now I have this saved on my good template, and I can add dimensions to it. So like on this one, if we talked about the rules, then it would want us to do this. Click on linear. It would want us to do this. And then I like it better if you put this guy up here. This can go here. And then the overall height I'll put here. Now, do I need any other dimensions? No, not really. Do I like this right here? No, I don't. Am I going to count it off if you don't fix it? No. But I like doing, all I did was pick on the little grip. You pick on the dimension, pick the grip, and then drag it where you want it to be. The only other thing that I need to look at is, are these all about the same distance off? You know, and that's what you want to do. You want to be consistent on your spacing as much as you can. So that looks pretty good actually, and that's all I need. See, I've got from here to here, right? I've got the overall. I don't need this dimension. I've got this dimension here, and I've got the overall. I don't need anything else. I've got this one, and I've got this up here. Now, you could have put this dimension up here if you wanted to, but I don't need to put it in both places.
if you go by what they suggest, where do you see it best? I see it best here, so I'm going to put it here. And that's how I did it. So inch. Go back over to your layout. Whoa, go out to your layout, and then double check your scale. Do you need to move your views around? Like some of you guys may have the side view over here almost on top of your front view. That's fine. In model space, go over and put your window around it. Go to move and adjust it. You know, move it over here, move it closer. Whatever it is you need to do is fine. Just don't move it up or down, because then it won't line up. Or maybe the top view needs to be moved up or down. That's fine. What you want is this to be nice and spaced so it's easy to read. I've already saved it, so I can click on save again. If I need to update things, like, is that the right date? Oh no. Well, you can update fields, UP, put your window around it, enter, it'll update it, and then you just go hit save again, and now you're good to go. And that's basically how you can get your stuff on the corrected template. Copy and paste it. Sure, it's going to bring over the other dimension styles, which I should have thought about that. It would also pull over any layers that you had. So, but if they're the same, it won't overwrite them, okay? Or it shouldn't. So, if you had the wrong line type on something, it shouldn't be on this one. Especially since you didn't copy any lines over that were that kind. Okay? That can do it as well. All right, so any questions on this? We all learned something new today, including myself. So don't forget magic triangles. When you activate the viewport here, make sure you got your magic triangles on. Some people even go in and lock their viewport. That's fine if you want to. In model space, make sure that you have your magic triangles on. And make sure that this scale, the annotation scale, matches your viewport. And when you're done, make sure you save it where it looks like this. Okay? Another one of my lovely pet peeves, I guess. Because this is what I want. This is my final answer here. This is what I want for the assignment. That's what I want it to look like. Okay, so that's how to kind of adjust things that we've already worked on. And we kind of went over which assignments were which. So back over here on the class, if you were to look at here, you've got these two tutorials, which I'm going to kind of go through those real quickly, and then I think I'm going to see how you guys do some of these. Now, the metric one, like, let's see, I think it's this one. This one I'll probably do, and then 816 you haven't done, so I'll go over how to do it. Because you only draw 2 views of it as well, and it's, anyway. So, and then I'll probably, maybe next time, if you want me to go over a certain one on how to dimension it, or you're not sure, we can talk about it. So anyway, I did 8.1 for you, showed you that. Let's look at the tutorial, which is on page, let's see. And there are a lot of dimension settings, but I just go over the basics. So it's on page 813. is where this one starts, the dim tutorial, 8-7. Now, do not get this confused with 8-7, P8-7, okay? They're two different birds. This is the tutorial. We didn't even do 8-7, I don't think. Let's see, which one is 8-7? Let's look real quick. Yeah, we didn't even do 8-7, P8-7. So it's okay. Make sure you're doing the tutorial part, which is on 8-13, which is the page number. 8.7, if you will, in the dimension tutorial. I don't have 8.7, I have 8-7. So try not to get confused. Now that I know that that's an issue, I may have to go fix things. Like, you know, I could go in here and fix the name real quick and make that 8.7. I didn't realize that was a big deal, but you know what? If it is, then we fix things. There you go, all fixed. Now maybe we won't get mixed up, right? So we'll fix this one real quick too. Why not? And it's like, why are you doing this while you're trying to teach us stuff? Well, because if I don't, I'll forget. There we go, easy fix. All right, so now maybe that won't mess anybody up. So what do I need to do for this guy? Let's see, are there any instructions? No instructions. Don't you love it when people don't put you any instructions? Well, I guess what Mr. Anderson thought was you're going to follow what's in the book. Well, in the book, as we found, is not always that great. Mr. Cody's not all that nice about the book sometimes. So what do we want to do? Well, let's figure it out real quick. So first of all, she has this drawn up for you in the files that you download. But I don't know what the settings are on those files. And they already have a weird looking title block and all that. We have one. We have it with the right dimensions, so we're good. And I don't want to use ISO dimensioning. I want to use ASME dimensioning. Okay, so first of all, what do we have to do? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to Start, and you need to use your new template. So 10.2.25, yep, that's the one I want to use. And again, I goofed up by not saving it over here in model space, but oh well. It is what it is. So this guy is metric, so what do we need to do first? We got to draw something, right? So we got to change our limits. So how big is it? It's 110 by 80. Well, that makes it easy. We'll just make the limits 110 by 110, right? So limits, L-I-M-I-T-S, and 0, 0 is the bottom left. And I said 110, comma, 110. Enter. And then don't forget to do your zoom extents, Z enter, E enter. E is in Edward, or A is in all, or albatross. There you go. That's a good word. Don't hear that one very often. Okay, so we're ready to draw, right? We're going to draw some stuff down here. So what's the easiest way to draw this thing? I don't know. Let's draw a box. Why would you draw a box? I don't know. Because I can. Well, that's weird. Why would you do that? Well, because I could do this. We'll just blow your mind to start with. We'll do this, and we'll do a fillet radius of, oh, I don't know, 40. And we'll put us a radius of 40 on here. And then we'll draw us a circle that has a diameter off of the center guy right there of 40. Now, do you have to draw it exactly like this? No. What could you do? Well, you could draw a line up 80, or no, up 60, and then over 10, and then up 20, and then over the rest of the way, or whatever. You could start at the bottom. And you could go over 80 and then do your polar 30-degree angle and then go up. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can draw it. I don't care how you draw it. I'm doing it this way. I'm going to use my offset command. And let's see, I need to offset 20. So I'm going to offset 20. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to go blow things up. So I got to go to explode, blow that up. Bless you. Now I can go to offset, and I'm already set. So we'll offset down 20. We'll offset over 10. And we'll go in and we'll trim all this out like here. I don't want to be an offset. Go to trim. Have fun.
Thank you, Mr. I'm gonna work on getting. I'm caught up now.
Okay.
I'm gonna work on knocking these out.
Okay. Sounds good. Have a good one. All right. So then I need this angle over here. Okay. So here is an example of how you could use the chamfer command. You're like, really? You're going to do it that way? Well, I mean, I could offset a line over 80 and then draw the line up 30. That would have been a whole lot harder to do. So here's what I'm going to do. We'll do it the hard way. We'll do it the easy, hard, whatever you want to call it. Chamfer, and then we're going to do angle. And so let's see. I need, oh no, now I got to do math. Let's see. I think the distance is going to be 30. And then the angle is going to be 30. Imagine that. And so which one do I want to count off on? I'll count off on here. And oh, look at that. How's it going? So there's most of my object. I also chamfer down here, but it looks like it's a 2x2. So we'll click on chamfer. We'll go to distance. We'll change our distance to 2, and then 2, and then we'll do this little thing right here. Boom. There you go. Okay, so the funny thing is, this isn't the finished size that she does in the tutorial. And I haven't figured out why she scales it, to be honest. So if you follow the directions in the book, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Tells you the limits to set it to, which I made mine, whatever. And then, oh, wait a minute. This says 110 on this first page, and then I flip it over, and it's half that size. What the heck? So which one am I going to count you to have? Well, you pick. If you're like me, you just were on the front page and you drew what was there. And then you flipped over to the next page and went, what? Well, I mean, it'd be real easy to fix because you could just scale it down, right? Okay. That doesn't matter, okay? So don't, like I said, this is one of the tutorials that's a little confusing and I don't get it. Do I care which one you do? No. I want you to have this shape. The shape's important, yes. Okay, so let's, while we're here, let's go over to center line, or our center layer, go to annotate, click on your center mark, and I'm going to pick on this guy. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to change the extensions. Isn't that great? Here I am, supposed to know what I'm doing, and I didn't go into Center EXE and fix that. That's so annoying. You know what the other thing's wrong? Line type scale. Can't see it. So what happens if we put it on 12? Okay, that works. Well, you remember I told you you can pick on it, and you can go to Properties, and on Properties, you can change your extensions over here. Now, this is going to be very helpful for those people who are online who didn't catch this part of the lecture when I went over chapter 4. No, don't get mad. I'm just throwing you under the bus. It's all good. So on this one, it needs to be 3. So I just type in 3, enter, 3, enter, 3, enter, do it 4 times. And basically what that does is that makes this really big, right? Well, these 2 lines here and here are fine. I don't really like this one being that long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick on it, and I'm going to adjust this and this. Now these are the squares, not the triangles, because this is your extension distance. All right. All right, so there's that. Now, this is where you would be ready to dimension it. Before we do that, I thought I heard a noise, so let me check something real quick. Okay, Evan, what do you need?
Hey, can you show how to do the like fillet again? Because I'm trying to do the fillet myself and it's just not working. I click like the 2 lines and then nothing happens.
It's because you didn't set a distance or an angle.
How do I set the distance and angle?
Well,
Oh,
first of all, you
wait,
gotta go.
never mind.
It's
But
okay.
but also my center marks don't my center line, for the circle doesn't look like that. Whenever I try, it doesn't extend at all outwards. Do I have to do line EXE?
Did you pick this one? Oh, you're talking about it didn't come out this far?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's because you didn't set center EXE, and I didn't either. So what I did is I picked on it, right? You pick it, then you right click on it, go to properties, and then properties will pop up, and you look for where it says left, right, top, and bottom extension, and you change that from the 0.12, that's the default, to 3, or whatever it needs to be. You know, like if you have a larger scale metric or a big, anyway, it's some variation of 3, but typically if it's 1-to-1 scale, it's 3. Does that make
Okay. And
sense?
so in the future, when I do center EXE, I also just set it to 3?
Yes. If we hadn't done this yet, so like if I got rid of that,
Right.
you would type in center exe like you were saying, yes, because like I said, I forgot, and I would change that to 3, and then when you did your center mark like you were saying, and I picked the big one, then it would automatically do it out where I wanted it. And like I said, on this one, I just pick on my center mark, grab the grip here and drag it back up, and drag this guy back. Oops. So yeah, I did the same thing. I forgot to do center EXE, which, if you forget it, it's real easy to just pick on stuff. Like if you have the same things, don't pick a center line and a center mark, pick one or the other, and you can pick all of the same thing. And then you right click, properties, and then you can go adjust as needed. But
So
if
the
you
center,
think ahead like we should, center mark or center EXE would be what you want. So you
so
got,
this is the center
go
mark
ahead.
of the fillet and not of the actual circle?
Well, it's actually both. These 2 are the center mark for this guy, but they're also the center mark for the circle. The only reason that I shortened it up is because I didn't like that it came all the way down here and it was way over here. And I just wanted it to look like this. Now, if you left it where it was all the way down here, it's still okay. I just thought it looked like it was in the way to me. But anyway, it's
Okay.
technically both.
And it needs to look like that, where the top and right side are long? Or is that just temporary thing that you just did?
No, this stays.
Okay, got it.
It's the center line of the arc, yes. So that's why I have these 2 longer, and it's also the center mark of the circle, which is why I have these 2 shorter. because it's a twofer kind of thing. They both have the same center. That's just the way I like to do it. Either way, it has to be long because you use the largest radius and you pick. Just remember that largest circle or radius is the one that you want that center mark to do. You don't have to pick both of them, just pick the largest one. All right, we're going to put that on dim. We're on
and there's a chamfer. There's not chamfer. There's a chamfer on the left, right?
What? The one over here that's 30 degrees?
No, there's a chamfer on the bottom left of the object.
Yeah, bottom left. That's 45 degrees. It's a 2 by
And what?
2.
2 by 2. Like where? Like distance or like angle?
That's the distance. If it says 2 by 2, then that means it's whatever your units are. So it'd be 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So like when you go to your chamfer setting and you click on distance, since it gave us a distance and not an angle, we click on distance and then you can type in your distance. So I've already got mine set to 2. But you type in 2, enter, and then it'll ask you if you want the same one, which I do. And you either put in 2 or you hit enter because it's the same one. And so then you can just pick your 2 lines to put in your little angle there.
All right, thank you.
Sure, no problem. All righty, so now I think we're ready to, those are all good questions. So it's always good to know why we're doing stuff. And, you know, you do need to know that chamfer, for it to work, you have to set the distance or the distance and the angle, depending on what you want to do. And when I did the distance and angle, I made sure that I picked this bottom line first because that is what we're measuring the angle off of. And then I picked this one so that it would make the angle go the correct direction. So you just have to think about which way it is. If it's not a 45, 45s are real easy because, you know, it's the same on both. All right, so we've got dimensions. Since I'm using my updated one, it does not have anything extra on it. And this is metric, so I do want to use my metric one, so I'm on that. I changed the layer here so it says dim. The thing is, I don't think if I do my multi-layer that it's going to be on the right layer, so I might as well go back over here and change this to dim. That way everything's on the same page. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get people who do all these dimensions and then they put on their 2 by 2 multi-layer and it's not going to be the right size. And you're like, but did they do their settings correctly, Mr. Doty? No, they didn't. How do I know? Because it's not the same size. So that's why you have to fix the dim style, the dimension style, and you have to fix the multi-leader style. Okay, moving along. So it's okay if you draw it what's on page 813 or 8-13. That's fine. If you draw it with the other dimensions, or you go in and follow the tutorial and you scale it and all that fun jazz, whatever you want to do, that's fine. This is how I'm doing it. So I need dimensions on here. So let's look at what do we need to dimension? Well, I need a dimension from this corner here up to here. But is that the first dimension I need? Well, no, not really. I kind of need to know where this guy is. And you're like, well, why are you putting it over there? You could put it on the other side. Yeah, I could. So why would I want to put it over on the left versus the right? Just because she did, or whoever made the drawing? Well, let's think about it. So one of the things that I mentioned when I did the last part on dimensioning was grouping things together, right? So if it doesn't look bad or cause issues, it's okay to group them together. Now, if you were going by, well, what's actually the closest, easiest, you know, location? Well, technically, from here up to here would be the one that's kind of closer. But if you look at it like this, well, now I've got an extension line coming out like there. But I do have to do something with that angle. And if you look on the book, they have their 30 degrees coming out to where that 40 is. So that's probably why they put it on the other side. So you have to kind of think about what all you have going on in your drawing. So they put this one here, then they did another one, and they went from here up to here. And then you want to kind of, what I try to do is this distance from this number over to here, I just try to make it about like 1.5 to 2 digits wide. I know that sounds like what? Because when I go the other direction, I try to make it the height of my lettering. I'll show you what I mean. So anyway, you just have to be consistent. Now I'm going to show you how you can do a tool that spaces it for you, but it doesn't always work right. And so sometimes you just end up playing around and making it work. The main thing is you want to make sure that this distance and this distance are pretty close. And you see how close I am here? That's pretty good. It's not too close. It's not hanging out here too far. Technically, this distance and this distance shouldn't be the same, but I think it looks okay. And actually, that's kind of what they have. Theirs, it's almost the same on theirs. They might have this one a little closer. So then I need to go from, now, remember we talked about datum. So I'm using the bottom as one datum, and I'm using the left as one datum. Those are my two datums. Now, I need to pick the correct endpoints so that I don't overlap lines. You're like, oh, Mr. Doty, you're overlapping extension lines. I thought you weren't supposed to overlap lines. Well, guess what? That's okay. They're extension lines. They're not different line types, and you can't help it. Okay? So that's an okay overlap, and it's not going to cause issues. So anyway, let's see, I did that, and then, okay, now let's think about this. If I give you this overall dimension, like so, and then I come in here and I click under here and I pick, let's see, what do we got? Radius. And I do this dimension like, oh, I don't know, like that. You know what, something they didn't do on this that I just realized? They should have made one of these a reference dimension. And which one would that be? Well, the reference dimension would be this 110. Because technically, if I give you where the center of this is, and then I tell you it has a radius of 40, what's 70 plus 40? It's 110, right? It's the same thing. I just over-dimensioned this thing. So what happens is, technically what I should do on this one, and if you don't, I'm not going to say anything, but what I should do is I should edit this and add this to it. And all I did was double click on it. If you type in the command, it's called DD edit. D as in dog, D as in dog, EDIT, edit. So DD edit is what this is. That's basically the same thing whenever you edit text. It's just, it knows that I'm editing a dimension now. So I can go in here, I could put a diameter symbol there, I can do parentheses on here, I can change it into a letter if it was in a chart or something. I can make changes, but since it's a field, see it's all lit up like there, that means that it automatically is, you know, coming up with that information for me. I don't want to change it. All I want to do is add the parentheses to it and then hit close. And so now I've got a reference dimension, which is technically what we should have done. But that's okay. So I'm missing one dimension. Well, two dimensions. Well, three dimensions technically, I guess. The one dimension I'm missing is this angle. So how do I do that? Well, under here, you click on there and you've got linear, aligned, angular. So what does aligned mean? Well, aligned is if you were to want to know exactly how long that line is, like that. And then you would have a dimension from there, here over to there, and that would give me that information. Well, I don't really want that, so I'm going to get rid of it. But what I do want is an angle. So I'm going to click on angular. And so what do? I need this line and this line, and then I can pick which angle I want. Well, I want this angle right here. Now, does it matter if I pull it out here like so? Or can I pull it back in and have it under here? Honestly, either way is fine. Just try to be consistent on what you're doing. If you have multiple angles on something, try to do the same thing. Okay, so I got all that on there. Now this is where people usually goof up because she doesn't tell you anything about your multi-leaders except to stick it on there, and well, you have to actually make some adjustments. So we click on multi-leader, and my only issue is I don't like the fact that I have to come off the middle of that line. And then I would type in 2 space X. Oh, wait a minute. I need to turn my cap lock on. X space 2. And then I can hit close text editor, and it should look like this. Notice that this is the same size as this. Do you know why? Because we created the style. We adjusted the style to make it work. And I guess you would have to use her file for that to do the same thing. Well, we don't. We make our own. And if you did your leader settings correctly, then that'll show up like it's supposed to. Now it looks like I'm missing one more dimension that I noticed, and that would be a linear dimension from the end of that line to the end of this line. And then I need to look at where the rest of these guys are. Now, I am not a fan of this right here, but that just happens to be about the best place to put it. I mean, I could pick on it and I could drag it up here a little bit if I wanted to, maybe, so that it isn't on that cross, but you know, I mean, you just do what you can do. But that's basically what you're supposed to end up with. So, and of course, all her stuff is done with the ISO dimensioning, which is not what we want. We want it to look like what I have on the screen. And but she goes in and shows you the dimension style, which she's got an ASME or whatever. Anyway, and then half the time when I get these back, somebody has an ISO 25 or an ASME, or maybe they went and downloaded her files. I don't know. Not really worried about it. But and then talks about exploding things and all that fun stuff, and I don't know. It's kind of, anyway, I don't do the tutorial exactly the way she does. So let's go look at it, what it looks like on the viewport. And we'll talk about how the scaling thing works. So right now, we have this set on 1:1. And if we go over here to metric and we activate it and we move it over, it's set to 1:1. Okay. Well, what if I wanted it to be a different size? So that's why she scaled things, because she wanted to be able to show you how things change. So what happens if you decided that maybe that was too big or too small and you wanted to be able to see it better, so you activated it, made sure that all of your magic triangles are on, and then you went in here and you said, what happens if we make it 2:1? Okay. Well, it doesn't exactly fit real well with the dimensions, does it? But you'll notice something. Notice that these scaled down. You'll also notice if you hover over it, it's got two of those little triangle scale things on it. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is now there are two scales for that dimension. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Well, let's just say that you went back over to model space. Hey, it doesn't look any different. That's weird. Well, if I changed it to 2:1 to match, then it'll change over here. So that's what, that's why you want this annotation scale to match what your viewport scale is. That's important. And if everything's set up right, this text size will be the same as what's on your title block. That's what your end goal is. It's also to have this to a scale that actually works. Like, that's not the right scale. Let's go to 1:1. And it goes back. Notice, see, and that's because the magic triangles are on. It'll automatically adjust for you. And I'll go back over here to model. See, this is still on 2:1. Now I can change it back 1:1. But the ideal thing is, so watch this. If you click on here, notice that there are two different things, which isn't quite as annoying as if you're going from, well, if you're smaller to larger, larger to smaller, one of those, you end up with this ghost scale on there because it adds it to it. So what do you do to get rid of that ghosty stuff if it bothers you? Well, what you have to do is you have to highlight everything because they all have two scales on them. And up here where you're under annotate, you can go over here to the scale list. Oh, that's not it. Sorry. Wrong one. Let me try that again. Not scale list, but add delete scales. There we go. So you'll notice that on all of these dimensions that I highlighted, they have 1:1 and 2:1. So what if I didn't want, or maybe it didn't have a scale that I wanted? Maybe I wanted to add a scale to it and add 1:4 on it. So what does that do? Well, that means if I click on it, now there's three different ones. Now, is that not confusing or what? Then it's hard for you to move stuff around. You don't know how big things are. And so, well, if you go to this add delete scales thing, you can get rid of the ones that you don't want. Like, let's say I didn't want 2:1, I didn't want 1:4, and I just wanted 1:1. Well, now if I click on it, it's only got the one scale, or if I hover over it, it only shows one scale. That's a good thing. And that is why you want to try to figure out what scale you're going to use first. Scale it on the viewport. Then you go back and put your dimensions on it. And if you figure out that it's not going to fit, then you need to go back and reevaluate. But if you want to add or adjust scales that are on there, that's how you do it. You can go back and highlight them and, you know, make your adjustments as needed. All right, so is that really confusing or what? So what do I want you to have it done at? Well, I would like you to at least experiment with changing the scale and the annoyance of the fact that extra stuff is on there. And anyway. But I would like you to at least do that so that you can see how it works. And then if you want to delete the extra scale stuff, that's fine. You can have practice on it. But this is what I want left. Now, if you have it with the other dimensions on it, that's fine too. So then it might be actually 2:1 would be the scale that you end up with. So if you end up with 1:1 or 2:1 with the other dimensions on it, that's okay. I'm not worried about it. But this is what you want to end up with. All right. Keep forgetting my watch is dead. So that's the first one. And then when you flip over to page, let's see, 8-31, then, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't save it. Guess I should save it, huh? All right, so what do we want to save it as? Let's see. Okay, we're going to do 8.8. And see, the reason I didn't used to use the dots is because I didn't think those were okay to use on file names, but apparently you can. It's just, you know, because you have extensions at the end that, anyway. So we can call it that. We can call it 8.8. Editing. Edit, or you don't even have to do the editing. You can just do keep it simple. Edit dim TUT, and then I always put my silly date on there. And there we go. And then remember, all you have to do is UP for update. Oh no, shoot, hold on. I forgot. You got to deactivate the viewport. So you can update your fields, UP, click on that, enter, and save it again. Hang on. Where are we?
Isn't this 8.7 though, not 8.8?
Yeah, it's 8.7. I was looking at the wrong one. You are correct. So make sure you save the right one. So we'll go back and save it as something else. So 8.7. There we go. All fixed. Yay. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Save it. All right, so moving along, we'll do the 8-8 next. So that's 8-7. Don't get confused. No reason to confuse me further. So, all right, I'm going to click on the little plus. It should give me the right one. Yep, sure did. I'm going to have to fix that. Yeah. So, yes, I make you have to draw these. Yes, I do. It takes a little bit longer to do it, but that's okay. Do you want your paper to be black? Or does that bother you? Okay. All right. Some people are okay with it. Some people are not.
I am not. So I have mine changed. Okay, so this one is in inches, makes it easy. If you notice on page 831, excuse me, they have it spaced really far apart. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But the first thing you got to do is you got to draw these two things. Top view, front view. So I'm going to sit down because my foot hurts. So let's do this. All right. So it looks like, yeah, gotta put the glasses on. Looks like it's 6 inches long, 1.5 inches deep, and 1 inch, well, 2 inches tall. So what's the easiest thing to do? Let's draw a box. All right, got that guy. And then you need another box. Okie dokie, let's see. Then we're going to explode both our boxes because that's what we need to do. And let's go ahead and put our chamfers in. So we'll do our chamfer. So remember, when you go into chamfer, you got to set your distance. And this one is, if you look at your node up there in the top right of the top view, it says 4x space 0.12 space x space 45. Yes, I know I keep saying the spaces in there because I want you to understand that if the x is next to it, it's 4 of them. And then if there's a space, it's the size. So it's 12 by 45, or 0.12 by 45. Well, I know that a 45 degree angle has the same length of sides. So I typically just pick distance and type in 2, enter, and then 2, enter, and now I'm ready to go. Except on this time, I'm going to click on multiple because I got to do it 4 times. Chamfer distance is too large. Oh, did I type in 2? I didn't type. Oh, shoot. I'm doing a great job here. Let's hit escape and let's go back. It is not 2. It is 0.12. I'm getting my drawings going too fast. Okay, let's do this. How about 0.12 by 0.12? And then maybe, there we go. And then I didn't do the multiple, but that's all right. And then you can take your line command and you can bring this down. And you can use the mirror command and you can mirror this over to here. I just use the middle of this line and pull it straight down, and you can mirror it over to that other side. Okay, basically then we just need to draw a bunch of circles up here at the top. And we can do offset. It looks like I need to offset 1. And then 2.5, 2.5, 3.25, 3.25, enter, and then 4.75. So 4.75. Okay, we need to draw some circles. They're diameters. So this one is, look down in the front view. We know it's a positive cylinder and it has a 1 diameter. And then we're going to click on it again so we don't accidentally draw radiuses. This one says 2x diameter 0.5. So there's 0.5. And then I'm just going to copy this guy. Copy from there to there. And then we'll go and draw us another diameter here. And so then we have our countersink. So we get to have some fun. It says it has a diameter 1.06, and then the hole is 0.56. So we'll do the 0.56 first. And then we'll go and do our 1.06. 1.06. And let's see, has that got everything? All right. So and I still named that other one wrong. It wasn't edit dimensioning, it was dimensioning, wasn't it? Yep, I sure did. Well, that's okay. I can go back and fix it later. Dimensioning tutorial. So that one is actually, the first one we did was actually 8.7 dim TUT. This one is 8.8 edit dim TUT. So I'm going to go ahead and name it while I'm at it here because I screwed the other one up. 8.8 edit DIM-TUT. All right. That should be right. 8.8, yep. Edit, yep. Dim, yep. Okay. Good enough. Now this one's in inches, so when I put my center lines in and center marks, I don't have to do anything to the center EXE. Okay? If it was metric, I would. So just something to remember. Need to be on the center line layer, so we'll change that. Go to annotate, go to center marks. And this is okay if these touch, or even if they don't touch, that's fine. That looks okay. So basically, there's that, and then now we got to put in the holes down here and our positive cylinders there. So I'm just going to project down. So the nice thing is if you didn't have quadrant on, you'd have an intersection here, and you could just draw this line down. And do that, and then the height of it, the whole thing's 2, so that's 1. Offset 1, and we'll offset that guy up. And then you can just trim out. Now don't forget, if you did it the way I did it, make sure you delete these 2 lines out. Just have to remember that when you trim things out, check your other views in case you've got extra construction line information somewhere. That's that some of the ones I was grading yesterday I've noticed. All right, so this is hidden. So change layers to hidden. I'm just going to use my copy command, and I'm going to copy this guy instead of just drawing lines, because that's what I want to do. Okay, now these are what we call blind holes, the 2 smaller circles. They are 0.5, and then they have a depth of 0.5, so that means you need to offset. Let's see, 0.5 down. So this needs to be a hidden line, so I'm going to pick on it. I'm going to go up here to the layer thing, change it to hidden. That's how you fix that. Then you can go to trim,
And get rid of these lines. Notice this guy over here. Don't forget him. The one in between. Don't need that. And then we can do these. And then we can do those. All right. And then I'm just going to delete that guy because I don't need him. Okay. Now the one thing that people forget is that on the bottom of here is a drill bit end that is 30 degrees down. So when you drill a hole, it has that little angle at the bottom. And you can't see it on there very well. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to fix that. Let's make these thicker. So let's see, hidden lines, let's make that just a hair wider and see if that helps. Hey. Yeah, you can see them a little better. There we go. All right, so how do I do this? Well, I'm on the hidden line layer, go to line, and then all I got to do is, since I have my polar set to 30 degrees, I can just draw the line down 30. And then draw this down at a 30 or 150 going down this direction. And then you just trim it up like so. Now you'll notice that my line type scale looks to be a little large. So let's see what that is. LTS. So it's set to 1. Now I don't know how many people that I mentioned this to, but you need to check your line type scale. Now, depending on your computer, like here, I know exactly what they should be for it to show up right. Now, it depends on what line type you pick too. So like, if you picked hidden or hidden 2, they're 2 different scales. So your line type scale could be different. Center line is the only one where I picked the one that was actually smaller, center 2. But now if you use center, then, you know, like I said, it may cause things to be different. As they say, your mileage will vary. I don't know who says that, but somebody says that. At least I've heard it lately. So anyway, my line type scale, I'm going to try 0.5 and see if that looks better, which actually that does. Now they're all broken and they look pretty good. The main thing is when you go to do your center marks, that's where it really, or center lines is where it really makes a difference. So I need to put this same angle guy here using copy. I'll just copy him from here over to here. Now here's an interesting fact. What I could have done is I could have drawn one of these and then used my copy command and picked up here and copied from the same point on this circle to the same point on this circle, and I wouldn't have had to do all that extra trimming, but I didn't think of doing that, so oh well. So anyway, there's my 2 holes that go down the distance that they go down, which is a 1/2 inch. So how the heck do I draw this? Well, the easiest thing to do first is to figure out what angle I have. So if I look up here at the note, it says there's a countersink, has a diameter 1.06 by 82 degrees. Well, I'm drawing off of the middle of this, okay? So if I were to go in here and pick this line and then go to trim and get rid of these lines like so, I'm gonna do something real quick just because it makes life a little easier. I'm gonna go to my center layer for a second, go over to annotate, and I'm gonna put a center line in right here. Okay. Now what happens if you put do the same thing and put it on this guy right here? We'll just go ahead and do it. All right. Is that long enough? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. All right. So on these where you have the actual drill end on it, what you really need to do is to grab your grip and drag it down so that it does this, okay? So pick your center line, grab it by the square, and drag it down to the end so that it looks like this. Now the reason I went ahead and put this guy in is because these two lines are going to get trimmed down to somewhere in here. How do I know which way they go? Well, I have to figure out an angle. So the angle it gives me is 82. What's that 82 degrees off of? It's off of this center line. So that's why I drew it in partially. The other reason is I wanted it to be able to, I didn't want to have to do like I did on these two and have to edit it. So I just went ahead and put it in there. But I need it in there anyway because let's go back to home. Let's go back and change back over to hidden. I need to draw an angle of half of 82 degrees measured off of here. So how does AutoCAD measure? AutoCAD measures from horizontal to start with, not vertical. So you remember in, I think it was 2-2 or 2-3, where you had the polar coordinates, and it says, hey, this is 60 degrees off of vertical. Did we use 60 degrees? No, we used 90 plus 60. So that's where we have to think about, what are we measuring off of? Well, I'm measuring off of this guy right here, but AutoCAD is measuring off of this horizontal line. So if I need 41 degrees off of here, well, I could take my 90 degrees and subtract that from it, right? Just nod your head and say, yeah, sure. Okay, so what does that give me? Well, let's do the math and let's do it the right way so that we don't mess up. So if we take 90 and we subtract 41 degrees, that gives us 49 degrees. So that means if I were to take a line and draw it off of the center or any one of these lines here, it wouldn't matter. Let's say we draw it off of this line over here. And I draw it, doesn't matter how long I draw it, but if I hit the tab button, I can go to my angle. Now I don't want to draw it at 41 because that's the wrong half of the angle. I want to draw it at 49. Okay? Now, I showed you how to do a dimension, angle dimension. So let's do one. This is just a temporary. You don't have to leave this on here, but I want to show you that if I go from the center line to this guy, and obviously I have it on metric, so let's not do that. Let's go and change that. There we go. Let's try that again. All right, so if I do an angular dimension and I pick my two lines, notice that it's 41 degrees. Is that what I wanted? Well, if half of 82 is 41, then yep, that's what I want. So I drew this line at 49 degrees because it's 49 degrees off a horizontal, not vertical, but that gives me the 41 off of the vertical. All right, now that we beat that dead horse, how do I make this work? Well, the reason I drew it from over here is because I can use my extend function and extend that line down. And then trim that off, delete that line, trim off this line. And this is the thing that always bothers me. People don't seem to understand that there is a line that goes from here over to here, period. They leave this line off right there. They're like, well, why is there a line there? Because if you were to look at it, there is a change in angle. Anytime you have a change in angle, you see a line from the edge. So you see that edge, period. So just put a line there. Otherwise, Mr. Doty's just going to have to go, really? Now you'll notice what happened. I tried to make it worked, but I was wrong. So now the silly thing trimmed back down for me. So now I have to fix it anyway. So you just pick on it, pick that, and boom, you're back to where you need to be. Okay, so I think other than, let's see, let's go to center line, and other than putting a center line on this guy, why do I need a center line on that? Well, for one, that tells me that it's a round object, or at least symmetrical. Okay, well that helps. And then I can actually do my dimensioning. All right, so let's make sure that we have what we have on here. So I need that on dimension. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to put this on dimension so that we're all good. There we go. And obviously my leaders need to be on not inch, or not metric, but on inch. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. So what I'm going to do is I have probably not enough room between my two views. So I need to move it around. Oops, wrong one. And let's see. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to look at it. So let's go back over to our layout and let's get this thing sized in here. Okay, it looks like I can probably fit this in full size. I guess it depends on, you know, if I need to move something or not. So I guess what I could do is I could scoot this down a little bit like that. And then I may have to move this view up, I guess. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to leave this alone for now. And we're going to go back over here. So why did I go over here and get this all centered and squared up? Because it will save you time and frustration if you just go ahead and figure out what scale you need and put it on there. If you have to change it later, it's okay. Does my line type scale look okay? Yeah, I think so. Everything's showing up. Okay, so let's move along and let's get this done so we can get this video downloaded and uploaded to the other class. So let's see, angle dimensions, nope, need a linear. So I need to put an overall dimension on here, and I need to leave enough room so that I can put this dimension for my boss right here. Now what's missing? Since this is round, I need to have what? I need to have a diameter symbol. So I need to double click on it. And how do I put in a diameter symbol? Well, the cool thing is when you go to edit a dimension, up here you've got symbols. And you can either type in %C as in car, or you can click on diameter, and there it is. And then you hit close text editor. All right, so that's pretty cool. So then I need to do some dimensions. So remember, we're doing baseline dimensioning. So I kind of did it backwards, but I also wanted to figure out if I have enough space. So then I'm going to pick on this guy and pick here, pull that down. I just hit enter to go into the same thing. All right, so funny thing is that actually looks pretty good. As far as the spacing goes, they're not too much on top of each other, but they're not as spaced as much as on their example. Because basically what they did is they had this pretty far apart, and you know, I don't know, maybe they have it more spacing, but how do you get these to where they're not too far apart, or you know, Well, basically, if you were to do this, you could tell it to do it by up here. You can, instead of this being continue, like you could put in this one dimension using linear, and then you can click on baseline and pick your original dimension, and then start picking, and look at that. It just automatically boom and boom, and it lays them out like so. Now that's kind of spaced too far apart for me. I mean, it's close, but what if I didn't like how it looked? What if I thought it was a little too close? If I went over here and I thought, well, you know, I don't have enough space. Maybe I do have enough space, so I guess I could move my views apart and recenter it. But what if I didn't like it and I thought, you know what, that could be a little bit closer? How would I change that? Well, what you would do is up here in under dimensions, you've got adjust space. So you click on adjust space, you pick on your base dimension, and then you pick everything else that's in the line of here, like so. And then you hit enter, and it asks you put in a value or hit automatic. Well, let's just see what happens if we hit automatic and see what it looks like. Well, that looks pretty good. They're evenly spaced. It's not too crowded. I kind of like that. Is there anything wrong with it? No, not really. I think it looks pretty good. So, you know, they're fairly well spaced. And that was the automatic. Now, the only problem is when you do the side ones, they don't work as well because your text is wider when you do vertical dimensions. Then, you know, obviously it's not, you know, lined up with your dimension line like it is on these. So that's why sometimes your spacing can be a little different. So is it okay to have the vertical and the horizontal different dimensions spaced a little differently? On CAD, it's not bad at all, actually. You want to make them fairly close, okay? And you want to put them between the views. There's a reason that we put them between the views. Now, there's only two views here, so I can put stuff on the left and the right. But the reason that I have the dimensions down here is because I need to put some other dimensions, like a diameter dimension for these two holes, I need to put up here. And then I also need to do this one. Now let's go back and look at our layout again. Yep, we still have enough space, so this is still looking pretty good. Okay. I have two of these circles. How do I make this note to where it says 2x? Well, you can either type in DD edit or you can double click on it, and then you can just add the 2x space and make sure you have your cap locks on so that you have a capital X, and you can hit close. Oh wait, I forgot to put in the depth. How do you do that? Well, let's go back, click on it again, use your arrow keys, go to the right until you get to the other side of the dimension, hit enter, and where the heck do I find this depth symbol? Well, if you look up top here, I have them written down what letters they are, but you have to go to the correct font, okay? You're like, really? There's another way you can do it, but I think it ends up being more convoluted, so we're going to do this Mr. Anderson's way because I like it better. Thank you. Yeah, well, you know, I try to give credit where I can. So up here is aerial. That's what we're using, right? So if you click on that, you can go find one called GDT. Now, when I do it my other way that I didn't realize I could do on here, the way that Mr. Anderson does, it's actually in the book. So, I mean, credit goes to both book and Mr. Anderson because he pointed it out. But, you know, it's like, dude, it's in the book. Oh, yeah, I guess it is. So I wrote it down because I wanted to reuse it. And so you go find this one called somewhere on down here. You could also type in G and it would go there, GDT. Now, once you get it on here, here's the thing. What I should have done first before I changed this is I should have put in my numbers. Because what happens when you change fonts? It changes things. So I'm just going to do my symbol and then I got to fix it back. So anyway, doing it backwards, but it's okay. I guarantee that somebody will change this, put in the numbers. It'll be on the other font. I'm not going to say anything because it's okay. I get it. But technically, I usually go in and put my numbers in first, then go change the font. Yeah, I know. And if you look real close, you can tell that they didn't change the font back. So the depth symbol is X. Uh-oh, an X showed up. Well, that's because I have cap locks on. Oh, really? Yes, that's why. So if you do Shift X, oh, look at that. There's a symbol. Well, that's pretty cool. And then obviously, because we're all lazy, we're just going to type in 0.50 and call it a day. Because if you'll notice, after I hit close text editor and I zoom up on here, that does not match this. You can't even see it up there. So does that bother me? Yeah, it does. But am I going to fix it? No, I'm going to do it right on the next one. So, okay. So I need to fix this guy right here. Now you'll notice that I picked the big circle. All right, double click on it. I need to put the smaller hole diameter in front of that. So I need to put in the 0.56 and hit enter and then go back up in front of the 0.56 and we'll go add our symbol. Diameter, and then I have to go find, and see I don't have to see now I don't mess anything up. So I've got everything, the right text that I want, well, most of it. Then I come down, go to the end, put a space, put me a nice big X, another space, and then 82. Oh wait, I need degrees. Symbol. Oh look, degrees. Click. There you go. All right, now all I need is my countersink symbol, which should go right there. Okay, again, go up here to your font. We're going to type in G. Oh, look at that. D. Ooh. Nope, that didn't work. Let's just hit G and then scroll down. There we go. All right, GDT. Now remember, these are all lowercase, so I have cap locks on, so I have to put in Shift, and I need Shift W. And there it is, and then I'm going to hit close. Ta-da. Now, does that look like what's in the book? Nope, sure doesn't. How do you fix that? Click on it. Go up here to where it says justification, and right now I got it on middle center. I wonder why. Probably because that's what I did for everything else, right? Well, what if it needs to be on middle left? Because mine's going that direction. If we did it their direction, we do it middle right, I guess. And then there we go. All right, I'm going to hit enter to finish it out. So what happens if I click on this and I drag it over here? Well, now I got to edit the silly thing. Go up here and put it on middle right. Boom. Now, is there a reason that I would do that? I guess. It matches up with the book. So the only reason I would have done that is because they put their chamfer dimension up here. And so I'm going to hit enter to finish out, and I'm going to click on multi-leader, and I want to do a 4x space 0.12 space x space 45. And then I'm just going to type in, let's see, percent C. Nope, it's D, Brent. Goofball. Try to be all funky here. C. No. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. It's just easier if you go up here to symbol and click on that. So, all right, there we go. All right, so that's got that. And now I just have to finish up the dimensions. And that's pretty much all we have to do to this guy. So we'll add these few dimensions, and then we pretty much have it call it a day. Now the funny thing is they show you in the so in one of our the PowerPoints, it shows where if this is a boss, that they put this dimension from here up to here. So then, you know, one of the other dimensions becomes a reference dimension. And yet on here, we do it this way, where they put the inch here and then they put the 2-inch over here. Why did they do that? Wouldn't it be easier to just put the inch over here next to this guy? Well, you know why I think they did that? I think they did it because it looks better. You know, there is a part of this that is aesthetically pleasing, if you will. It's a pretty drawing, right? I want you to have nice, professional, good-looking, handsome drawings. And when you have two views, you have a lot of choices on where you can put things. And you can spread out the love and make things work out really however you want, but to make it look nice. So you'll notice that this distance from here to here is not the same as this one. But does it look bad? I don't think so. I think it looks okay. Now, I'm going to get people that have all these spread way out, and that's fine as long as it fits on here and looks good. So I'm going to scooch this over just a bit because it bothers me. It's not centered. There we go. Now, that's what I'm looking for. Are my lines looking okay? Yes, they look good. Did I change my line type scale? Yes, I did. I changed it to 0.5. Does that mean that yours is going to be 0.5 at home if you're working on a different computer? It could be different. It depends on the line type that you picked. Did you use the regular one or the 2? Or are you on a different resolution screen? If you're on a real tiny computer that has a 14-inch screen, you may have a different one. Or if you have a 15-inch screen or a 17-inch screen. It just depends. So anyway, that's what you do for this, and that's all I have to say about that for this video. And I'm sure you guys are tired of listening to me talking anyway. So anyway, that's what I want it to look like. Notice that it has 2 place decimals. If I needed something to be 3 places, I can make adjustments on it, but that's for another video, another day. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to, sorry, the end of class, it doesn't really matter. You guys have questions? Those that are still here? Oh, there's a question from online. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk to you later about like what classes I should take next. Is there like a time that I can call you, like on the phone, and we could talk about it?
Yeah. Let me get all this closed out, and we can do that.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Yep. No problem.